Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right in. And to start, I want you to imagine the most extreme, absolute compression of reality possible. Because today, we're exploring the literal architecture of the cosmos, walking that razor-thin line between cutting-edge physics and some of the most profound philosophical questions of our existence. So picture this. Take the entire known universe. I mean, absolutely everything. Every single one of the 2 trillion galaxies out there. Every star burning in the night sky, every supermassive black hole, and, well, even yourself. Imagine taking all of that unbelievable mass and crushing it down until it is smaller than a single proton. It literally defies human intuition, right? But this impossible point of compression is exactly what physicists call a singularity. It's a realm of near infinite density and mass. And here's the real kicker. Inside this point, the regular laws of physics, the everyday rules that govern how you and I exist, they totally and completely break down. To our 3D brains, an origin like that sounds basically indistinguishable from a miracle, which forces us to step back and ask impartially, is our universe just a completely random cosmic accident, or is there some grand design hidden in higher dimensional math?
To figure that out, let's start with part 1, the anatomy of the Big Bang.
Okay. First things first, we've got to clear up the single biggest misconception about the dawn of time. Most people picture it like a giant firecracker going off inside a dark, empty room. But the Big Bang wasn't a blast happening inside space, it was the explosion of space itself, emerging from nothingness. Before this exact moment, there was no empty room. There was no space, no time. The whole shebang was tucked entirely inside that tiny, proton-sized singularity.
Now, you're probably wondering, how can we possibly know that for sure? Well, it's actually because of the Doppler effect. Think of an ambulance rushing past you on the street. As it speeds away, the pitch of the siren drops. Light does the exact same thing. The light we see from distant galaxies is what scientists call redshifted, meaning those light waves stretch out as the galaxies move away from us. Since literally everything in the night sky is stretching away at incredible speeds, simple logic says if you hit rewind and reverse the clock, it all traces back to one single origin point.
Let's do a quick, fun thought experiment. If we send a hypothetical cosmic guinea pig, let's call him Chase, back to that exact moment of creation, what would he find? Well, he wouldn't find a bearded creator sitting on a cloud. Actually, he'd be instantly vaporized. His atoms would be ripped apart in a fiery soup of trillion-degree plasma. But in that tiny fraction of a second, Chase would feel something incredible. He'd feel this deep, resonant hum. These early sound waves, called baryon acoustic oscillations, literally made the entire cosmos ring like a bell.
Which brings us to part 2, the Great Cosmic Fog.
For the first 380,000 years right after that initial bang, the universe was nothing at all like the beautiful, clear, starry void we see today. It was a hot, dense plasma soup. It was a photon fluid so incredibly thick that light itself couldn't even travel in a straight line. It was just bouncing around, totally trapped in the heat.
And this limitation is absolutely fascinating because it illustrates exactly where a lot of people find room for the divine in the scientific narrative. Because of this opaque great fog, our science hits a literal wall. We can't just point a telescope and look at the exact moment of the Big Bang. We can only detect its echo, something known as the cosmic microwave background. That leaves us facing this impenetrable great silence. And whenever science hits a massive wall like this, it opens up a profound question. Does a higher power take over right where our physics ends?
Let's explore that in part 3, Higher Dimensions and God.
If our 3D science is hitting a wall, we have to consider how just shifting dimensions completely alters what we think of as reality. Imagine a totally flat, two-dimensional being. If a 3D human reached into their flat, paper-like world, we could literally touch the inside of their bodies without ever breaking their skin. To that flat being, we would look like inexplicable, godlike miracle workers breaking every single law of their physics.
Now let's bump that up to us. As 3D beings, we're kind of trapped. We experience time linearly, just trudging forward at 1 second per second. But imagine a 4-dimensional super being. To them, time isn't some river you flow down, it's just another physical dimension you can look at all at once. They would see your entire existence, from birth to death, simultaneously. You'd look like a single physical object stretching out, like a time worm. What looks like impossible magic to us is just a standard Tuesday in the 4th dimension.
So, here is the crucial takeaway. What happens if we just keep climbing that dimensional ladder? By the time theoretical physics scales up to the 10th and 11th dimensions, we hit a realm that contains every possible history of every possible universe. At that staggering, mind-bending height, the concept of an all-powerful, all-knowing force looks a whole lot less like ancient mythology and perfectly resembles incredibly complex geometry. The divine and the mathematical basically blur into one unified reality.
Next up, Part 4, Reboots, Bubbles, and Black Holes.
You see, instead of one definitive, isolated beginning, science actually offers us a few alternative architectures. There's the Big Bounce theory, which suggests we're living in an infinite loop. Our universe is just one in an endless series of collapses and cosmic reboots. Then there's eternal inflation, arguing that our entire expanding universe is just one tiny bubble floating in this vast, infinite multiverse of other bubbles. And then there's my personal favorite, the black hole theory. This proposes that our entire universe is tucked neatly inside a massive black hole that belongs to a totally different, alien reality. Wild, right?
And finally, Part 5, the cosmic Goldilocks window.
The famous psychiatrist Carl Jung once said that when you stop carrying burdens, everything changes. And we can absolutely apply that to how we view the cosmos. If we just drop the burden of demanding a rigid binary choice that either God did it like in a myth, or it was all just a random, meaningless spark, a much more profound mystery opens up for us.
When we embrace that mystery, we realize how uniquely privileged we are. We happen to exist right now in a perfect, temporal Goldilocks window. Humanity is technologically advanced enough to actually detect the echo of that original singularity, that cosmic microwave background. But crucially, we are also early enough in the universe's lifespan that the cosmos hasn't expanded so far that the evidence vanishes into the dark void. If we existed billions of years from now, the night sky would be completely empty, and we'd literally have no clue the Big Bang ever even happened.
So, whether you choose to view this exact timing as a stroke of divine sovereignty or just an incredibly lucky break in the physics of an expanding universe, the end result is the same. You and I, we are made of recycled debris from that original singularity. We are quite literally made of star stuff. And that means we are the universe developing consciousness, turning around, looking back at itself, and finally asking, how did I get here?
We started from a single, infinitely dense point. But does that mean it all ends the same way? Which leaves us with one incredibly beautiful, haunting question to close out today's explainer. What if everything we know, every galaxy, every star, and every dimension eventually collapses back down to a single point in a big crunch, just waiting to start the whole spectacular show all over again?